What you're about to watch is one of those moments where a Senate hearing stops feeling like routine oversight and starts revealing something much bigger about how power works in America.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held that the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. And 72%,
sitting here today,
Senator, 72% of Americans have lost faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question. You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging law enforcement sensitive information. So just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news is horrible. Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not looked at it.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has asked me to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate
but the president
Liz. We're also worried about Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
President has
you know
called
what we should be worried about?
Ms. Bondi, please answer my questions.
California right now is through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
your robberies are 87% higher than the national average.
My question is this.
That's what I want to be focused on, Senator.
Do you have the power to say no to the president? And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say, Donald Trump, you lost the 2020 election? Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I won't do it. I won't play politics with any ongoing investigation,
so let me ask you another,
like you did leaking your colleague Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question, if you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in Pennsylvania.
I know you want to answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there or was there not?
I can tell you what I saw when I went as an advocate to the campaign.
That's not my question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president, we will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so
Let me finish. On a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I abhor violence to police officers.
Follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President? I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as
do,
well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of course
asked
you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the president?
Can I
Will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I would
is-
have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body, nor you.
All right, let me ask you another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You
you
were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress, Senator, for
it will
comments just like this that
it
are
will
so
also- It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do
you're
you have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
In this exchange, Adam Schiff is not just questioning Pam Bondi about legal technicalities, he's testing something fundamental: whether the person who could become the nation's top law enforcement official is willing and able to stand up to a president, even when it's politically uncomfortable. And to understand why this line of questioning is so intense, you have to look at the backdrop. Schiff opens by referencing the Supreme Court's ruling in Trump versus United States, a decision that significantly expanded presidential immunity in certain official acts. From a Democratic perspective, this ruling raised alarms because it potentially shields a president from accountability in areas that were once considered subject to legal scrutiny, especially actions involving the Department of Justice itself. So when Schiff talks about that decision being like a loaded weapon, he's not being rhetorical for the sake of it. He's laying out a real concern. If a president now has broader protection, then the only meaningful guardrail left may be the integrity of the people inside the system, especially the Attorney General. That's why the questions quickly move from abstract legal theory to concrete scenarios. Schiff asks whether Bondi would investigate figures like Jack Smith or Liz Cheney simply because a president wants it. And here's where the exchange becomes revealing. Instead of giving a clear yes or no answer about whether there's any factual basis for such investigations, Bondi repeatedly deflects, saying she would look at the facts or that she hasn't reviewed the files. Now, on the surface, that might sound reasonable. Of course, any prosecutor should review evidence before acting. But Schiff isn't asking her to prejudge a case. He's asking something more basic. Is there currently any known evidence that would justify launching those investigations? And her reluctance to answer that directly becomes the point. Because what Schiff is really probing is independence. Not theoretical independence, but practical independence. The ability to say no when a president demands something that isn't supported by evidence. And then the conversation shifts into even more sensitive territory, the 2020 election. Schiff asks whether Bondi can acknowledge a basic fact, that Donald Trump lost that election. Again, this isn't just about relitigating the past. It's about whether a future attorney general is willing to state objective reality, even when it contradicts political narratives. Her refusal to give a direct answer there is significant. For Democrats, this isn't a gotcha moment. It's a test of whether the country's top law enforcement officer would be guided by facts or by political pressure. The same pattern continues when Schiff asks about pardons for individuals who assaulted police officers, and about preserving evidence from January 6th investigations. These are not obscure legal hypotheticals. They go directly to issues of accountability, rule of law, and whether justice is applied evenly. And each time, instead of firm commitments, the answers fall back on generalities like, I will follow the law. But here's the thing, Saying you'll follow the law is the minimum requirement. The real question is how you interpret and apply that law when powerful interests are pushing in the opposite direction. That's what makes this exchange so important. It's not about scoring political points. It's about whether the systems designed to check power still function when they're under pressure. As you watch the clip, pay close attention, not just to the words, but to what's missing. Notice where direct questions don't get direct answers. Ask yourself whether the responses give you confidence that decisions would be made based on evidence and principle, or whether there's room for political influence to shape outcomes. Because in moments like this, the stakes go far beyond one hearing or one nominee. They go to the heart of whether the rule of law is something that applies equally to everyone, or something that bends depending on who holds power. If you want more breakdowns that go beyond the surface and actually help you understand what's at stake in moments like this, stay engaged, subscribe, and keep questioning.